In this episode of the Abandoned Armoire Restoration Project, I'm going to turn this janky looking 2x6 into new legs for the armoire. Stick around.
Magic legs.
So I want to add some adjustable legs to these feet. The problem I run into is how thin these legs are. It's about 3 5/8 in the front, by about 2 inches deep. It forms a L here, and the ones in the back are even smaller, with about 2 inches by 1 inch. So my intent is to take that 2x6 and cut some pieces that fit in there all nice and pretty. Here is the bottom of our abandoned armoire, and here is one of the legs. As you can see, it makes an L. Well, I want to put an adjustable, screwable foot in there, but I need more wood.
That's what she said. That's what she said. That's what she said.
Good one.
So what I want to do is make this square. Kind of like you can imagine. Kind of like that, making it square. So I need to add some wood. And that's what we're going to do with that 2x6. But first, I have to make sure these are already nice and 90 degrees and the same height as each other. So we need to check that. And if we have to cut any off, we'll cut it off. But before we cut it off, we've got to make sure that our saw is cutting true. It's cutting a 90-degree angle to this top surface. So let's go check our tools first. Now, I would imagine that every circular saw has an arrow indicator showing you the angle that you're cutting. The only problem with that, especially mine, is it's about as accurate to within somewhere between here and Tuesday. Case in point. See the light? With a little adjustment, I've got it straight now.
I see the look in your eyes.
So as it turned out, my feet were not straight after all, and neither were the armoires. So I got out my saw track, marked both feet to the same height, got out the circular saw, which is now perfectly 90 degrees straight, and lopped them off. Then it was on to that janky 2x6. I ran it through the gauntlet of the table saw, the planer, and the miter saw in order to get it dimensionally straight before I started doing anything. Now that we've taken that 2x6 and cut it, planed it, glued it, clamped it, we have created this. It's essentially the original 2x6. The part that was cut off is now right there, and then there was a little excess. That there, essentially making kind of a big fat L. Now, why did I do this? Because we're going to take this to make some of these. Wow! All of these cuts, angles, whatnot, fit right there. So why am I making the feet this way?
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Thanks, John. Yeah, I wanted a challenge. I could have just, taken 1, 2, 3 pieces, cut them the way I need it, and then glued them up. But no, I want to do a challenge. So I'm going to show you how I made this. Here we go. I'm going to work on this corner because that sample that I showed you was for that corner. Each one of them are like mirror images of each other, so I couldn't just clone that. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't figured it out, I had the armoire laying on its back, but I had bottom of it lifted up onto my table, which made a perfect amusement park for splinters.
Whee! 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 Whee!
So the first cut we have to do is the height of the leg. So I come up here and I set this piece with the top of it flush with the top of that bottom decorative edge, which is the bottom of top bottom shelf, and mark that off. However, that's not our mark because I only want it to be this leg to be flush with those bottom supports. And I made the bottom supports 1 inch in from that edge. So, easy enough. Let's go make our first cut. So, yeah. Okay, that's great. So for our second cut, I'm going to tackle this little gap right here, this piece, and that. So, mark it. See the mark right there? But then I have to measure the distance between there to there and replicate it so it's there to there because we're cutting the top. Okay, so I'm going to use metric measurements instead of freedom measurements. Because I don't want to get into calculating 30 seconds, 60/4. So it looks like we're at about 10 millimeters. Okay, so I need to replicate 5 millimeters. Let's go cut number 2. Okay, that went well. You'll see now that it's flush right there across the top. The next step is to tackle this right here. So what we need is to make this wider. Looks to me like about 28 millimeters. Okay, cut number 3. Looking good. Now the edge of our add-on piece is at the edge of the armoire.
So the next cut, we have to make room for this bottom piece to be somewhere right over there. So I have to cut off kind of a rectangle up to some height. So what is that height? I want this much left, but we got to cut off this part, but only as deep as right there. Okay, so we made the cut, but there's still this gap. That's because one more thing we have to cut off. Here it is. Cutouts.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
Well, there you have it. The Abandoned Armoire now has
Magic legs.
magic legs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it didn't go too long. I'll go ahead and finish up the other 3 legs. They're in glue up right now. And then we'll get the armoire back on its new feet, and we'll head on back to that bottom shelf. We'll catch you next time.